I show that it's streaming on YouTube.
Okay. And then I'm going to record. All right, we are back. We've passed some counter proposals and had some discussion, and we were going to each have some responses now.
Yeah.
Dr. Green, do you want to go first?
Sure. We will withdraw the grievance. Is that what that's what's in my court, right? Okay, we're going to withdraw that. We just want to talk about the CTE one for a minute. We're still going to reject the language, but we want to give you some thoughts.
Okay.
Our principals, and this is, I would love for Jason and Mira and Melissa, I'm sure you have some as well. And I wanted Bobby to say some things, but I don't know that he can get in. Our principals do everything that they can do to provide time for their teachers. They provide comp time if they're working after school. They give teachers a day with subs for working on standards and common assessments and department planning, and have no hesitation doing that for the teachers for CTE as well. They know how hard they work. They see the shop things that they have to have, in line for all the reasons that you have said. The teachers just need to approach their principal and ask if there's a way that they can get some time to work in the shop. I'll let any of the principals pipe in that talks about how they give their teacher some time. But Bobby said, I know what my guy does. I know how he has to have this, I know when inspections are coming up. I know that there's times of the year that really are more important for that equipment, et cetera. And he said, I give them comp time. I'll provide subs. He said, just last week, we had a group of people that, had a sub for the day, an entire department of our ELA people. Somebody else mentioned the elementary reading standards that are going on right now and giving their people some time off. Principals are not going to say no when the need for those sorts of things are happening. It's difficult right now. There is no doubt about it when it happens during the day because of the sub situation, but something like this would just exacerbate the sub situation. So perhaps it's not as easy as picking a day where they can put a sub in there right now just because of the time we're in at this moment in time. But all they have to do is have conversations with their principals, and none of our principals, especially in those areas that have those shop type activities, they're not going to be unreasonable related to that.
So, Dr. Green, I am going to, first of all, let me say on behalf of the teachers that when they have those days to do that sort of planning, they find them extremely valuable. So we ask that principals continue that practice because we hear such positive feedback when they're allowed to do that. It lets them catch up, get ahead, have time with their peers. So that time is much appreciated, and we thank all the principals who are doing that. I don't love it because I like things written in the contract. However, based on the relationship that we've built, I'm going to let this go, and know that if it becomes an issue, I'm going to come to you and ask you to go to bat for these teachers if they approach their principal and are shut down.
Okay, and I will.
Okay, excellent. All right.
Did I have another one? The Article 4, yeah. I did.
The ESE requirements.
Oh yes, we will accept what you've put across. Withdrawing that language in the first paragraph and going to 72 hours and leaving the third one there as well.
All right, so ESE requirements done. The termination was withdrew. CTE, so we'll withdraw the CTE. All right, have some answers for you and some questions and maybe further discussion. Let me share my screen here. So as far as your language on cameras, we want to see one little change in there because we don't want to see an unintended consequence. We know that the video cameras are only being used in certain areas, and we want to make sure that if we accepted that language, we're not opening this up to cameras being placed in other areas than they already are. So we've added in there and put it in green. If it's deemed necessary to place a camera in an area, I'm using the word deemed twice. I don't like that. If it's deemed necessary to place a
How about
camera identified as a mass congregation area, in an area identified, then we're good with accepting that language.
Okay, and I'm happy with that, and I'll say yes, but can I just, with one caveat, if we talk to the COO and he has a better way to say mass congregation area, could we work with that?
Yes.
If he,
Yeah,
okay,
I understand where you're going with that, and yes, I understand.
so we could work together on that.
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll accept that.
Okay. All right. Then you guys were so fast this time. Thank you. So as far as, okay, so we're gonna accept your 9-hour day proposal. We got that. And then the drug-free workplace policy. We're trying to come to a point. So one of our concerns is with teachers who are being hit, kicked, etc. Are then, because they are being injured sometimes, being required to be drug tested. Now, I can go as far as understanding the district's concern that drug use or alcohol could have contributed to that situation. I'll go as far as to agree to that. But I'm thinking if I worked in an ESE unit where the disabilities of students consist of hitting, kicking, and so on, or perhaps even in a pre-K setting or kindergarten setting where students have not yet learned that those things are not acceptable in a classroom, we're concerned that those folks are being unnecessarily drug tested, right? Like I work in let's say an EBD unit. Chances are you're gonna get hit at some point. Drugs are not contributing to that. It is a student's disability that is contributing to that. So is there a way to work that into language?
So I can say that we have numerous instructional assistants that report injuries. They report an injury the first time and they do want medical treatment. That same instructional assistant or teacher can be injured the next day. They are filling out another incident report because they are documenting the child's behavior. We do not make them go for another drug screen. So we would not make them go. If they're reporting something every single day, we would not make them go. We always ask the school secretary to give us a call. If it's been a 2-week period of time, then yes, we would make them go again. But if they're just specifically documenting, they're just trying to fill out that information because of the disability of the child and to document for the classroom, we do not make them go when they report an injury every day or every other day or, a couple times during that week.
So Rosemary, why are you using 2 weeks as the cutoff date there? Is that arbitrary?
A guideline. It's just arbitrary, a guideline that we've gone by because we've never seen reports that, usually they document, if they're documenting for the classroom, they're documenting every day for a week. So after a 2-week period, we don't see any more reports really coming in because they've pretty much done their documentation at that time. We would make them go again. And it could be a different injury. It could be a different student by that time.
So if we said a month, would that change anything? If I got hit, went and got tested, and then it happened, within a month's time, would that?
Well, then I think
Was it-
we're starting to infringe on our drug-free workplace.
So I guess I didn't quite understand what you were saying. So with the 2 weeks, you said they're documenting. What do you mean by they're documenting?
A lot of times instructional assistants or teachers in the exceptional education classrooms, they will be documenting maybe to show, and please forgive me because I haven't ever been in one of these classrooms. I don't know the exact terminology, to show maybe that student needs to be removed from that class to put into a different type of ESE class, just documentation for that child's behavior that they're doing. And the best way for them sometimes to document that is to fill out the risk management accident incident report.
So it's my understanding, and maybe some of our ESE folks can help us out, or principals. It's my understanding that that's 6 weeks of documentation. Can somebody confirm or deny what I'm saying? Melissa, I see you unmuted.
I think there's kind of a rule of thumb when we're looking at interventions, for example, that we're taking 6 weeks of data. That's certainly not a hard and fast rule. It depends on what we're looking at, both academically and behaviorally. So yeah, what I am thinking is the children in these ESE classrooms, they're taking data on kids' behaviors as part of their behavior intervention plan, as part of their IEP perhaps, and looking at considerations if this child needs to be moved to a more restrictive environment.
So I guess what I'm getting at is if they're specifically looking at violent behaviors and they're documenting and doing the interventions for that, it seems fair to say that anything that happens within that period when they're doing the documentation should put the drug test off limits.
I would disagree, because then we are violating our drug-free workplace policy.
Rosemary.
How so?
Yeah.
Rosemary, how
I'm
so?
sorry.
How so is that violating the
Well, then we're
policy?
giving preferential treatment to one class of instructional or support staff that we don't give to anybody else.
So Rosemary, one of my questions would be like, I guess the like Anthony was explaining, one of the concerns is about when teachers are hurt by students. And we do know there's a possibility, as Anthony said, about drug use and alcohol use can maybe lead to somebody aggravating that situation or making the situation worse. But is there and the problem is we're not seeing an area and the drug-free workplace policy from state statute or on the workman's comp, site for the state, where it lays out these procedures that the district's created around workplace injury.
We have that right to go above and beyond the statute.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, and you do have that right, but I think it's more, I think for this conversation, it would be fair to acknowledge and basically the district's policy for workplace injury goes above what is required by the state. I think is what you're suggesting, Rosemary.
No, I'm not. I'm suggesting that we are following what the Division of Workers' Compensation has suggested. We are following state statute that is in our drug-free workplace guidebook.
Okay, and that guidebook states that when there's an injury, there has to be a drug test.
That is one of the areas that help us qualify for the discount according to the Division of Workers' Compensation.
And do you have that guidebook number by chance? Manuals?
I
think
it's online
this is
at the
something we've
Division of
Let me
Workers'
look, Kyle,
Compensation.
while you all are talking, let me look.
Because I mean, I would just ask to be able to share something.
We can either do a post-accident drug screen, or we can do random drug pulls.
I just want, this is the form that we keep referencing, and maybe we have the wrong form. I just want to say we got this from the state workman's comp website, and this talks about the 5% discount that I believe the premium credit that Rosemary you're referring to.
Well, that's
And-
the application for the premium credit, correct?
Okay, and on the application, this is what's required. Is there more guidance?
It's not just specifically those that are listed on there. We have to have a drug-free workplace program. We have to have certain measures in place. We have to communicate that to our employees. It can be pre-employment reasonable suspicion, which also includes post-accident. It can be random drug pulls. As long as we have something in place that shows that we're a drug-free workplace, and our guideline does follow state statute as well as the Florida Department of Division of Workers' Compensation guidelines.
But I think we're trying to figure a solution about the student, when teachers are injured by students. And it seems to me, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, that your policy may go above what is minimally required by the state. And you are able to do that. I'm not saying BPS can't do that, but I think that's a choice that BPS is making.
Can I add, so Kyle, I started to look at what you asked me to point out but I then was listening to you and I forgot what I was looking for. So I'm sorry.
I think we were trying to find the manual that Rosemary was referring to.
Oh, I thought I was looking in our technical guide. I'm sorry. But let me ask this. There in this section, in the section of teacher protection where I think where you're looking, well, under the camera, the article of the contract that you have the camera language in under teacher protection, there is a section on assault, teachers who have been assaulted. I'm just wondering if perhaps whatever it is you're asking for might be rewritten in that area.
All right. Well, I know Vanessa wanted to say something or had a question.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody on the call understands this, and I think everybody probably does, but I think it's worth mentioning. Our ESE teachers, and I think even our gen ed teachers, we have calls from teachers in both settings about the abuses that they are taking daily in their classrooms. I observed a VE classroom in which I can't remember what grade, but it was a younger grade, second or third grade, sat in a chair and wheeled after a teacher, kicking over and over and over again. And so this is not something that happens here, there. It's a rare occurrence. These teachers are calling every day, and all of us on this call that are in the office and Jonathan as well have talked these teachers off the ledge, have talked them into not resigning or retiring early. But by that same token, there's been many of them that have resigned or retired early. And if there is something that we can do to take, obviously we're not going to stop the, some of these abuses that are happening in the BE classrooms, because a lot of this are manifestations of their disabilities. If we could reduce a stressor off that teacher, or obviously we don't negotiate for the IA, but off the IA as well, then we should do it. And that's what we're trying to capture here, is a teacher shouldn't be stressed out about, I just got bit again, and I've got to go take a drug test. I understand the constraints, but I also understand just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. So just because we can require these extra things doesn't mean we should, especially in situations where our teachers are being abused on a regular basis. And that's just what I want, everybody just kind of think about and consider. This isn't about gaming the system. This is about taking one shred of stress away from our teachers in the classroom, especially right now.
Thank you, Vanessa. So Dr. Green, with that said, we want some more time to work on that one.
Okay.
Okay.
And again, maybe a resolution could be in that piece about teacher assault.
And I think that makes a lot of sense. I do. So let us mull it over some more. I don't know about tonight, but we need a little more time.
Okay.
All right. So that takes us through all that stuff, right? So that is the only outstanding piece of language. Yay.
Good job.
That's excellent. Yes. That was a lot of language.
Next year, only 2.
Yeah. They're going to be really long though, really long. No, we have some MOAs that I wanted to talk about. If I could bring those up next.
Okay.
Okay.
Need my.
Give me a minute to find them. Okay, so I have 3 MOAs. They do involve money. So I just wanted to bring that up and make a transition into some discussion of money right now. So the first MOA deals with the K-12 Educator Disaster Relief Payment, AKA the governor's bonus, AKA the money that the federal government sent to the state of Florida for COVID relief, which the governor said was, his money. With that aside, we know that once again, the governor made the choice to only provide this money to those deemed classroom teachers, using that antiquated definition of classroom teachers in the state statute. Of course, we know that principals got it as well, but we're also not happy that assistant principals and deans and those folks didn't get it, but we don't bargain for them. But those folks in our unit who provide extremely valuable essential services for our students who do not fall under the definition of classroom teachers, we're unfortunately having to ask the district to make right what the governor messed up, which was not including those outside of that definition in this $1,000 bonus. It's upsetting that Governor DeSantis would intentionally do this, leave these folks out, but he did, and it happened. And we dealt with this with the whole best and brightest thing. He's well aware of it. The state legislature is very aware of this. Didn't go to our school counselors. This didn't go to our resource teachers. This didn't go to our social workers. This didn't go to a whole host of folks in our bargaining unit. So we're asking the district to make this right. I have in here that members of the bargaining unit who would receive this must still be employed by BPS to qualify. And also, Dr. Green, I believe you're familiar with this FAQ that went out on July 2nd about the parameters of who should qualify. I think it had to do with, for instance, a number of hours you had to work, or number of days you have to work and so on. So that is the first piece there. Do you have any questions about that?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Next MOA we're seeking has to do with those 9-hour workday schools or 45-hour work week, however you want to put it. So we had originally brought this as contract language. You asked for it in an MOA because you don't think these 9-hour schools are going to be permanent. So we're asking that they're compensated. This doesn't make sense. And they'll be compensated at time and a half of their hourly rate for the hours beyond 40. So we want time and a half for that extra hour a day. And then we also want to see them get some additional planning time. I try to leave some leeway in there for administrators to work it out rather than just saying, you know, in the morning or in the afternoon. What we're asking is teachers at this school sites with additional hours shall be provided an additional 50 minutes of planning per week. Administrators must inform staff during pre-planning when that additional planning time will be provided. And the reason we're asking for this is because they're having to do an extra hour of instruction. They're also having to do an extra hour of planning and, you know, potentially grading papers and so on. So we're looking for time and a half for the extra hour and 50 minutes of planning. Any questions on that?
I do not.
Okay, and then Kyle, do you want to talk about this last one?
Yes, I do. So this last one, Dr. Green, is about Saturday pay. And it started when some teachers notified us about the requirement to attend a new teacher academy, and then also present our support in different matters. We have teachers throughout the district that normally does this. And it came to us, and we actually realized that there's been more of these trainings this year than ever before on Saturday because of the issue facing coverage and the substitute issue and trying to keep the highest number of teachers in the building every day because a lot of schools are facing vacancies and stuff like that. So we were hoping to come to some type of agreement. And it just talks about members of the bargaining unit will be compensated their hourly rate for presenting, attending, or supporting workshops, task force development, our curriculum, and or instructional materials and other such assignments which have district-wide or area-wide application when the assignment is on Saturday. Additionally, Article 28, Section B, doesn't prevent members of the bargaining unit to be paid their hourly rate when completing extra assignments beyond the normal teacher work week and in-service preparation our teacher. And the reason that last sentence was in there, I know there was some concern that the contract may prevent teachers from being paid their hourly rate when they do these extra duties or create curriculum. You know, we adamantly disagree with that interpretation of the contract, so we would like to adjust that. You know, as it's often said to us, the contract's just the minimum of what our administrators do or what needs to be done. But in recent time, it's also been used to restrict past practice. I was actually 3 years ago, I created curriculum before I went to BFT, and I was, you know, for science, and I was paid my hourly rate. I believe that's being restricted right now. And additionally, on the Saturday hourly rate, I do want to point out and accept that we have current contract language that does talk about training, and that's where this language is right from. But I don't believe the intention was ever for Saturday trainings or to extend the work week to Saturday. And what we're seeing is classes that would normally be completed during the week, i.e. the new teacher academy, but that's not the only one. There's going to be other ones later out throughout the year, are normally done throughout the week, but that's not able to be accomplished right now, thus moving these trainings till Saturday. And a lot of these trainings are district-wide events are not optional. They're mandatory for the presenter and the person attending. So we're hoping that this would address the concerns that we've had and hopefully clear up any misconceptions about our contract language.
Thank you. Any others?
No.
Okay. We will, of course, have to take those. I think we've had some conversations about funding strings and grant all that stuff. So I certainly can't respond to any of those this evening. But I will take them and start working on them if you forward them to me.
Did you want to present something else, Anthony?
Yes. Yep. So I have some other items that involve money that I want to put up here. It's not our salary offer, but there are some other items here. Give me 1 second to find them. Okay. All right. So the first proposal I have here is on the differentiated pay plan concerning athletic supplements. And I've added in there that regardless of whether the years of coaching experience are in JV, middle school, or varsity, the year shall count for experience if it is in the same sport. So essentially what we're saying is we might have a football coach that was the head coach of a JV team for 10 years, and then they moved to a varsity head coaching position, and they're not getting the experiential lane. They are still getting the, whatever it is, 0 through 6 year lane. So we're saying if the experience is within the same sport, just at a different level, we would really, the coaches would really like to see that experience count. Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Okay. All right. Next proposal we have is one we've talked about many times. As you are aware of, we have many folks working at ESF who are classified as resource teachers. Those classified as resource teachers are getting a supplement of $5,500. There are other folks working down there. Some of them are titled content specialists. They are essentially doing this same exact job without any sort of supplement. Now, I know that the resource teacher positions are being phased out as people retire, and folks are being labeled as content specialists in some other positions. But this is just a great inequity that these folks down there are getting nothing. Now, I want to try to be clear. At some point, we public records requested, or I got a list from you, Dr. Green, of positions down at ESF that I believe would qualify, that I would like to see qualify for this. Let me see if I have that list handy. Probably not. Take a second to, oh, there it is. Find that. I believe it's about 50 to 60 positions we're talking about. Now,
Are they all of the people that are at ESF?
the only ones that we don't believe at ESF that should receive this would be folks that are just, like housed at ESF, but are basically teachers, like our pre-K ESE services. Those are essentially teachers who are just housed there. But talking about folks that are in quasi leadership positions, folks that have, like, for instance, Melissa Woods on our team, right? Melissa was selected to be a tech integrator because she has increased knowledge of how to use technology in the classroom. She has specialized knowledge, and in her position, she's being asked to share that specialized knowledge with various schools throughout the district. So we feel that the supplement is justified for these folks because they are providing expertise. They were selected to these positions because they have knowledge that others do not. That's why they're content specialists. Our social studies content specialist, she wasn't chosen for that position because she is just another elementary teacher. No, she was chosen for that position because she has a great expertise in the area of social studies, far beyond what a regular classroom teacher is expected to have. And she's being asked to, implement professional development, give teachers feedback, give teachers resources. So I have the list that you were provided, and I went through. Of course, if somebody already is receiving the $5,500 supplement, we would ask that continue. And they
Not in addition to the 20.
not in addition, in lieu of. Do you have any questions about specific positions? I could kind of give you a.
No, but you'll share that list with me?
Yeah, I got it from you, I think. So
I mean, the highlights.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, I have the list which I sent, but I mean the highlights.
Yeah. All right. And we're asking for $2,500 for those folks.
Okay.
Okay. Next is on the differentiated pay plan in the co-curricular area. Last year, when we changed a band supplement, we included a marching band in there, and we lowered the band supplement somewhat. The intention with that was not for anybody to see a smaller supplement, but what happened was our two schools of choice, Edgewood and West Shore, they do not have marching bands because of the program they have there. So these two band directors saw their supplement get smaller. It was an error on my part, as actually I accidentally passed a wrong proposal, an older proposal, and did not catch it. So I take full responsibility for that. But the intention was never for these folks to see a smaller supplement, and I'm trying to correct that situation for those two band directors who this year are getting a smaller supplement, because that was not the intention there.
But can I ask a question?
Yes.
So the purpose of the marching band supplement was to recognize those people that do all of the fall work, all of the Friday nights, all of the contests on the weekends, all of the extra time. That was the purpose of the marching band supplement. What is the added responsibilities for the schools of choice to get for their bands outside of anybody else that's in a band, in a senior band position?
Well, so this supplement would still be lower than the marching band and the band director supplement, but this would reflect what they were getting 2 years ago. So we just want to make sure they're not getting any less, because they were always getting this amount until this mistake was made in the negotiations last year. So we're just trying to and I don't think you want to see this situation either. We don't want to see anybody ever getting less
No, but
money. And unfortunately,
that.
that's what happened here.
So I see that, but that means then that the marching band people are now back to getting $185 for marching band.
Yes. But it's $185 more than they were getting previously. Unless you want to increase that one too. I could agree to increasing that as well.
Next.
If you want to counter with that.
No.
Okay. All right. And then the last one on the differentiated pay plan, we have an absolutely wonderful ESE program in this district, and that's the BLAST program. And BLAST is a program for, I'm going to say, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, students that have reached an age where they're, I think 18 and above, but they are students with disabilities who are still within our system, I believe, until they're potentially 22 years old. And if you've gotten to see a BLAST program, you know how incredible they are. They're teaching a lot of social skills and workforce skills and life skills to these students with disabilities. So when they finish high school, they can transition into adulthood and really learn the skills it takes for them to function at their maximum capacity. It's just a dynamite program. We know that parents with students in this program are really pleased with it, and it is such an awesome asset to our community. But by the nature of this program, we realize that there is no way to guarantee these BLAST teachers a regular planning period or lunch for that matter. It just can't happen, because part of the program is that these students go on community trips several times a week. You know, they're off-site, they take transportation to maybe go work at the grocery store or other sites. They go on field trips to, learn how different things work. And, we racked our brains with it, because we were hoping we could just say, no, you guys can get a planning time at this time. You could get a lunch at this time, but it's just not happening. It's just not something that's gonna, that's feasible to happen. So with that said, we like to see that these BLAST teachers get this supplement of $1,100, and we chose $1,100 because it's in line with our I think we call it difficult school assignment supplement of $1,100. Kyle, did you want to chime in at all on the BLAST? Did I do that?
No, I think you did great justice. The program's amazing. And we did try to, as Anthony said, these teachers don't always get their lunch or their planning as all other teachers do. And they're still responsible for planning lessons, requirements for IEPs. They're also responsible for, having a community store and going above and beyond. So, when they originally reached out, we tried to figure out a way where they could get planning. But after meeting with a couple of different groups, we just realized it's really not possible at the school they're at. And I will add this. I think until last year, some of these blast teachers were also getting supplements under different parts of the contract, depending on how it was interpreted by that school administrator. So I think this would actually help, bring everybody onto the same part as well.
Kyle, what would that be?
I have some notes on it, and I can tell you what they were doing, Dr. Green. I gotta go back and look at our notes though.
And I think there's maybe 10 of these teachers throughout the district, just a rough estimate.
And if anybody would like to be a blast teacher, BPS is currently trying to hire a blast teacher, and they do some excellent stuff in the community.
You get to work with some of the best kids in the district too. We love our
Absolutely.
blast teachers.
They're amazing.
All right. That's what we had for that portion. Did you have any questions on that?
No, you'll share those with me as well.
Yes. Okay, so hold on. Let me
So
make
you-
a share
you owe
list here.
me- Yeah, you owe me the MOAs and these.
And also that list. Okay.
Oh, yes, and the list. Thank you.
Okay. All right. The next piece is we do have a salary proposal that we wanted to pass across the table and discuss. Let me just start out by saying we understand that this is a challenging year for our school district. There is no denying that there are some challenges, that our enrollment is lower than we would like it to be. And when we know that enrollment is lower, the funding is lower. We know that the district has committed $6 million recurring dollars into the insurance trust fund, which is excellent and much needed, and takes the burden off our teachers for this year to see any kind of premium increases or health insurance increases. So that $6 million recurring going into the healthcare plan is much needed and much appreciated, without a doubt. We know that there are some other challenges as well, and we've done a great deal of digging into this situation, and Kyle's going to elaborate on it some more. But essentially, what's going on is that we're looking at the amount of money that the district is spending on salary. It's reported to the state each year. We spent X amount of dollars this year, and we spent X amount of dollars last year on instructional salaries. And what we're seeing is that the projected cost of the raises are not being seen in the total reported salary spend for each year. For instance, last year, this salary increases, because we received the money from the state, should have been around $13 million. But when we see the total increase of salary spend, we're only seeing, I believe it was $6 million increase, and Kyle will correct me if I'm wrong. So to us, we're going, they've not spent all the money on salary like they're supposed to. So let's use that money for salary this year. And there's several things going into that. One of them is the number of vacancies we have, right? And I don't want to, at this point, argue on the exact number of vacancies, but even on Beacon until recently, we're looking at about 160 vacancies. So when you have 160 positions not being filled, that money adds up quickly. That money is falling to the bottom line. And we don't believe that money should fall to the bottom line. We believe that it should be diverted to where it came from, teacher salary. And what really makes sense about that is think about who is making up the slack for those vacancies are our teachers who are having larger classroom sizes, who are covering during their planning periods. The other piece that we've discovered having to do with vacancies is, from what we can see, the district has budgeted for well over 5,000 teachers. But when we look at payroll, we see that there's not even, it changes day by day. I get it. I'm not arguing about that. There are approximately 4,700 teachers. So literally the district is not filling hundreds of positions. And there's nobody in here who really thinks we're going to fill those positions this year, or even 160 positions. Now, we already believe and have word that the district and principals are collapsing these positions, so to speak, at this point in the year and going, you know what, I'm just not going to be able to hire a third grade teacher. So I'm going to stop advertising this position, take it off the books. But what that means is that $55,000 that was set aside for that third grade teacher is not being used. So we all agree there is attrition and lapse money, but we believe that attrition and lapse money is greater than the district is willing to agree with. And additionally, we believe that it should be used for salary because it's coming from salary. You know, and then on top of that, it has to be said that our veteran teachers are hurting. You know, we are thrilled last year that our early career educators, and some of them were even more than early career educators, got a nice raise. I mean, nobody wants to see our beginning teachers struggle like all of us who are teachers on this call did for, 20 years of their career to get up to a decent salary, and $46,550, that is a strong beginning salary. And we should all take pride in that. But those beginning teachers, those teachers that started last year, they're not new teachers anymore. So what are we going to do for those folks? What are we going to do for the 21st year teacher like myself, who is only separated by a few $1,000s from the beginning teacher? So we really got to try to make an effort to do something with our veteran teachers. And we've been talking about this for a few years, and the district and union, we've made some good progress on that with the longevity supplement a couple of years ago. The district did extend itself to do what it could last year. We do appreciate that at the end of the year, Dr. Mullins and the board gave everyone that $1,000 after that ridiculously difficult COVID year. Those things are not unnoticed, and they are appreciated by our membership, but we got to keep the salary moving. It's hard. We all know that. Our teachers are struggling, as Vanessa mentioned earlier. I mean, I think I heard from 3 teachers today that were either walking out the door, on the verge of walking out the door, or put their 2 weeks in. I mean, it is nonstop in our office. And one of the things that I shared is somebody like Kyle, right? Fortunately, I was able to steal Kyle to work in the BFT office, but Kyle was a 5th-year classroom teacher with a science background, right? Kyle could be working at any one of these space industries in a heartbeat, right? And getting the salary and the perks of working there. So we really got to make sure that we're not losing all our math and science, our overwhelmed math and science teachers to the space industries who are also experiencing a labor shortage. So we feel that it is in the best interest of this district to double check, triple check, and quadruple check and make sure every last dollar that could be spent is being spent on salary, especially for our veteran educators. We've had a lot of background meetings with finance, and we are a little disappointed that we're presenting the initial offer that we didn't get enough information, or they didn't compile enough information for them to present the offer. So that's why we felt like we need to present the offer, because it is October 25th at this point. We're well into this school year, and we've been patient. We understand it's a complicated financial situation, but we need to move on salary. So we are going to present a salary offer. And Kyle, do you want to go ahead and share your screen and take over?
Is that good? Do I need to blow it up any or?
It wouldn't hurt to blow it up a tad.
Okay, let me see how. Are we good there?
Can you scoot over?
Okay, let me see if
Yep.
I do this. So I want to start with this, and I want to say, like, it is a huge disappointment. We hoped by working with BPS, and working with finance and Dr. Mullins and all the staff that we were going to be able to come to some type of agreement of what money was available for compensation this year for teachers. And we also hope that by waiting until October 25th to even start talking about salary, which is usually something we do a lot sooner, that we gave everybody time so that we can make these decisions and move quickly to avoid some of the past, times we've had bargaining. With that being said, I do want to highlight everything Anthony just said. We've presented this. We showed why we believe the things Anthony said. And I'll point out one thing that Anthony left out. And I know the district doesn't have their third CARES grant or ESSER, but over the next 3 to 4 years, depending on how the state funds it, the district will be receiving close to $200 million in federal COVID grants. And a lot of this money, and even in the budget this year proposed by BPS, almost $20 to $25 million of salaries will be transferred to the CARES grant. That is all money that can be recovered through the process of transferring money out of the general fund, covering positions that are currently in the general fund under the CARES grant. We do realize that that's a one-time, that money goes away 2 to 4 years from now, depending on what grant it is. But we also realized, and we went back and we revisited some numbers from impasse. And, one of the large thoughts of our impasse hearing was that whenever the district gives a raise, about 3 to 4 years later, that raise is no longer happening because of the number of attrition. And we went back and reviewed that data, and we saw that process is still going. We looked at 5 payroll runs on a specific date for the last 5 years, P5 for the last 5 years. And we know this, no matter what we do, no matter what raise we do, the number of teachers we have, because of attrition, that raise stays within about a $200,000 to $300,000 gap on that payroll run. So that's part of our argument about why the district has the recurring funds. And as Anthony said, we have worked tirelessly with the district to try to come to some type of agreement of what funds may be available for a raise, but we felt it was time to make a presentation. The first thing I want to highlight is this year there is new state laws about how a performance bonus has to be scaled and has to be proposed and implemented. This is not our choice. We do not believe that. We believe all of our teachers are the same. We've always stood with solidarity. We've always stood that every teacher is the same classroom teacher, elective teacher, teacher at ESF. If you are a member of our bargaining unit, We believe you are the same, and we are quite disappointed with the state statute. But at the end of the day, we have to follow the state statute. We don't agree with it. We hope this year it changes, and there's some hope to that already. So that's why you will see our performance-based raise is broken out by annual contract and professional contract. And there's 4 teachers on continuing contract in the district based on recent data we received. And that's why it's split out that way. The next thing I want to highlight is about 427 positions currently are paid out of special funds, which is usually Title I money, but that's not the only fund, but it's the majority of it. So we also want to capture that when we talk about the cost of the district and reoccurring. So our proposed increase in performance raise for an annual contract highly effective is 1,780. And then every proposed increase following that is based on state statute. There's a formula that talks about an effective teacher has to get 75, can't get no more than 75% of what the highly effective teacher got. And state statute this year also, required professional contract teachers that only the highest raise they could get for highly effective was 75% of an annual effective teacher. And honestly, that is just ridiculous. That should not be happening. And we wholeheartedly disagree with it and the need to take care of veteran teachers. And this isn't helping the problem of wage compression. And this isn't solving any issues. But as I said before, every year, the state statute on wage gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's how we broke out the raise for the performance. I want to point out to you, Dr. Green, that we have the number of personnel based on the information you provided us. The one caveat is we took the 427 teachers. We made the assumption we just took them out of the annual contract category. The reason we did that, because honestly, we're trying to give a best estimate, but also be reasonable to the district on this. And we understand that usually those teachers are a little bit newer that are in Title I, but that's not always. And we don't have the data to connect who's in annual contract and professional service. I hope you understand that. I think you do.
So let me paraphrase real quickly. So when I look at the cost of the special funds, even though you listed them as the AC, if there were PC teachers in those special funds, it would just reduce that cost because they would get the PC wage. You're
By
not
state-
suggesting that if they
No,
were.
by state statute, you have to.
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Green, you are
So
correct.
you did it for cost estimates.
Yes, Dr. Green. By
Okay.
state statute, I think you are limited on, we wish everybody could get the same raise. We think that would be the proper way.
Okay.
Those are the number of personnel based on the breakdown from the evaluations that we received from you, Dr. Green. The fringe costs we received from finance. I do want to point out that fringe includes like health insurance, retirement, and your taxes. On a one-time bonus, it is lower because of the retirement and some other aspects. And we got all those numbers from finance. So that is the total cost. Additionally, we've been in the meetings, we've heard what Dr. Mullins has said, we've heard the presentation to the board, and we understand that we believe there is some reoccurring money, but we also understand that the district will have a lot of one-time money. We do not love bonuses. They do not go towards the teacher's FRS, do not help a teacher with retirement, and they don't build year over year. And that's unfortunate because that's what we prefer. But we understood that the district at the end of this year will have more one-time money than they normally do. A lot of that has to do with those grants I mentioned and the cost savings that Anthony was talking about. We can debate the number of classrooms without a teacher, but they're going to be quite a lot of classrooms without a teacher in unfilled positions. And that's money the district saves every single day by not having those classrooms filled. Now, I know the preference on everybody on this call, including us, would be to have teachers covering those classes and make it easier on the other teachers. But realistically, we're not going to have 5,100 teachers or somewhere over 5,000 as the district budget supports. So we went with the number of personnel as 4,700. The reason we did that is because we have an active employee number from you, Dr. Green, and then we have a number from finance of a little bit higher of employees on payroll. There's a discrepancy there, so we kind of split the middle. And I don't think anybody's misintention on the discrepancy. I think human resources is tracking active employees. And I think some of the payroll data may have people that are on the tail end of retirement, are on leave, some sort of that. So we're trying to be fair to everybody involved. We're requesting a one-time bonus of $1,000, to go to all members of the bargaining unit. And there's a cost associated with that. I think, okay, that's the French, that's right. In addition to that, we were very happy a couple of years ago when we had a longevity supplement, and we would like to build on that longevity supplement. We would like to increase it to $1,500, so $1,500. That's reoccurring. That does help with FRS and retirement. And there's really the biggest reason we want to do this is because we think we need to value our veteran teachers. I know there's an interest in everybody involved to show value to our veteran teachers. And despite what the state statute requires in some other areas, this is an area where we continue to improve and increase that to value our veteran teachers. And additionally, what we've noticed is over the last 2 years, I don't think the longevity supplement has cost what was completely intended. I believe there's fewer teachers this year on the longevity supplement than last year. So we asked for a $300 increase, which is about $750,000. And then we put it together. So for reoccurring dollars between the general fund and the special fund, we're asking about $8.4 million, $8.5 million, and $5 million of non-reoccurring. And I just want to highlight something Anthony pointed out. We've looked at salaries over the last 5 years. And while individual teacher salary is increasing because of turnover, the amount of money that the district sets aside in their budget has decreased. I heard an echo, I'm sorry, has decreased. And one thing I want to highlight is last year, although, the state provided a teacher allocation money, I don't believe the state provided that money to supplement the district's responsibility of what they were already paying. In essence, what happened last year is the state provided money and the district's responsibility of dollars they previously brought to the table went down. So we are asking to try to maintain that gap that was already there prior to the money and then continue to move forward by this. We think this is a reasonable request. And I just want to highlight again, we have tried multiple times to work with BPS to try to come to some type of agreement on what money would be available for raises, but we weren't able to do that, Dr. Green. So that's where we're at. I don't know if Anthony has anything to say, if I missed something, or if you had any questions, Dr. Green.
I do not have any questions.
I wouldn't mind caucusing to try to take a stab at that language, potentially tying it to the SALT language in the contract. Are you prepared to caucus to give us an answer on anything that we've
Everything that you've put forth since that has all had money implications, and we're going to have to cost out. And I don't think I'm going to be able to answer money issues this evening.
Would you, like I said, I don't mind us caucusing for a few minutes and taking a stab at that, giving you another proposal on that.
That'd be fine.
All right. Okay. All right. We're going to go to caucus.
Okay, team, I'm going to hop back on our meeting as well. Yeah, you're going to send me this, Anthony?
Yep. Kyle, you send that one. Okay.